Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, folks. For some reason, we are down a co host. In the middle of our intro, out of nowhere, Mr. John Wolf seems to have left us. So at this point, we are now live, and I will be regaling you all with my dulcet tones until Mr. John Wolf returns. But you know what? I see a few folks in here, so I will first and foremost say good afternoon, everybody. Good evening, everybody. I see folks in the chat already. I suspect Mr. John Wolf had some technical gremlins happen. One moment, please. I'm sure he's working his way through to get this thing working in the background. But I will first and foremost ask, hey, I see Bunty's in here. Oh, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, we are having some technical issues, but of course, that will not stop us from bringing you guys the great show that you guys demand. I know that Mr. John Wolf will be joining us momentarily, but you know what? While Mr. John Wolf joins us, and I'm sure he's in the background trying to figure out the ones and twos, I will go ahead and get started and let you guys know that yeah, we are here on this show once again. Why? Because we figured we'd have these interesting conversations before the onslaught that is Starfield becomes our reality. Well, we had a few games that we played this week, and unfortunately, some of them are better than others. I've started playing some games that I've thought was super interesting, and Mr. John Wolf did as well. And I'm sure once he jumps back in here, we'll talk about it. But first and foremost, I will see if there are folks in the chat. If you can hear me, respond. Microphone check 1 2. Let's see you in here. I want to make sure John is also doing okay. Like let me reach out to him real quick. And of course, we're doing this on the fly, so don't worry about it. Oh, here we go. The man says his PC restarted on him. See, this is the stuff you get with PC stuff. Where are the PC proponents in the room? Where are the people who are always talking about how PCs aren't doing any good? Mr. John Wolf is 2 minutes from starting his show, and his PC rebooted on him. So there you go. I guess that's one for the console side. Anyway, but all right. While he's jumping on here, he says he's going to jump on here at any moment now. So I will go ahead and get started, and we'll start conversation. So, see, the unfortunate thing is, right? John was going to ask about some of the stuff we're playing and all this, and I would want to talk about some of the games I've been playing, but one of the unfortunate things about the game that I want to talk to people about that I have been playing is that most of the game is more here and a little and some show. Meaning the game that I've been playing, the audio components are so important to it that it makes it difficult to show off. And what game I want to talk about? I'm talking about Bomb Rush Cyberfunk. Yes, that's right. It is a game called Bomb Rush Cyberfunk. Now, I'm sure folks have heard me talk about it on my show on Saturday. I spoke about that a little bit there. Actually, oddly enough, I should have been speaking about it on this show because it is more a PC game than it is anything else right now, anyway. Because as folks may have heard, it has released, but it hasn't fully released on, say, all the console platforms. It's released only on Steam right now, with plans for it to coming to all the other various console platforms. So, at some point it will be everywhere, but as of right now, it is definitely not everywhere. And as such, I have been enjoying this thing on my ROG Ally. And just as I start talking about the game that he hasn't played, Mr. John Wolf joins us back.
What's up, man?
Sir.
What's up?
What you doing? What happened to your stuff, man?
I got that PCMR bug got me, man. The gremlins finally caught me. As we were going live, I literally my PC crashed and my, Windows update started out of nowhere.
Holy, that's amazing. That is absolutely amazing. That's great. That is great. Okay, so before you jumped in, and folks already jumping in here, and thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you for joining us midstream, as they say. I was telling the fine folks, I was regaling the public with the game that has made me lose my mind as of late. And the problem with this game is it's like the Matrix. You have to play it for yourself, because if you just look at it, it looks kind of funky. Okay. But you don't hear the almost 90s inspired hip hop tracks that are in the background, with the EPM and dance 2000s house riffs that are in there. You don't hear the original, which I've learned, by the way, the original composer of Jet Set Radio, my favorite game, being asked to and agreeing to do all the music for this game. Hence,
So it's
I love it.
you're in heaven. You're in heaven because as long as I've known you, one of your favorite games has always been Jet Set Radio. So you're in heaven right
Absolutely,
now.
bro. This game, and for my PC gaming heads out there, this game sips TDP. I'm talking it's like very, 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 very performant. Like I set this on the ROG Ally, I set this to 8 TDP. I'm 60 frames a second solid. If I set it to performance, which is 15, I'm 120 frames like all the way, no issues. And you'll need those 120 frames because although it may look herky jerky with the art style right here, it is smooth as butter. Now,
That's unbelievable.
It is very awesome. It's really awesome. It's missing some things because it's a small team. It's missing like some good what do you call it, voice work, right? Which if anybody remembers Jet Set Radio, they'd go, who cares? The story was really secondary. Oddly enough, this game has a pretty damn good story. Better than the OG Jet Set Radio. Yes. And like before we even get into it, like possibly before this segment ends, you will see a big twist that starts this game. And it's not a spoiler because it's literally the first 5 minutes of the game. But that's where my brain just went, excuse me, what now? You know that meme where the eyebrows were and go, okay, this is what we're doing now? Yeah.
Oh, so this is one of those. This is one of those. Like the show I just recently watched. What is it? The one with the superhero with the dad and the kid. Man, I can't believe
Oh! I see what you're talking about. You mean? Oh my goodness! Not the show that's on Amazon. Yeah. Now I'm forgetting its name.
I'm forgetting the name. I can't believe I'm flipping on the name.
Yes,
but
I know
okay, so it's one of those that by the end of the first episode, you're like, oh, okay, what's going on?
Yeah. So this one, like, you know, so basic premise, right? For those who remember Jet Set Radio, it's all about a game about crews and music and performance art, right? So every time, and you'll see it even on the screen right here, every time somebody's talking, they're literally dancing. They're like they will not stand still and talk. They're literally dancing when they're talking. It's very, very strange, and it was the way Jet Set Radio was back then, right? So it's the same thing here, but except Jet Set Radio was always about the goofiness and all of that. This gets into some interesting places where people just go, okay, what are we doing right now? It's quite odd. It's quite odd.
And it's invincible.
Kind of, yes. And it's invincible. Yes, invincible. Yep. That's exactly what you're looking for. Yes. Mm-hmm. But yes, needless to say, you know, you go through your tutorial level. You are a quote unquote Neo, one of the coolest kids on the street that can do things that others can't. Right? Your tagging game is stronger than anybody else. And this guy out of nowhere breaks you out of juvie, right? And when you're getting, and that's the premise of the start of the game, and then it just goes completely off the rails. But yes, and pun not intended, but there are a lot of rails in this game. For those who want to kind of have an understanding of what you're talking about here, it's very old school. So go into it knowing that it's cheap. It's $30, right? You can buy it on Steam right now for $30. It's very old school. In that it's almost your what do you call it? What the heck is that name? Tony Hawk Pro Skater kind of style, right?
Okay,
where you can pull off tricks, you know, right? But what makes this forgiving is it's more about the combinations you can do. So like rails don't have any kind of sensitivity meter. You can just grind infinitely on a rail rather than in your Tony Hawk parlance where you'd have to, like, you know, make sure you keep balance or whatever, right? And it cuts to the chase and makes you feel cool right away without having to work for it, right? But then
I love stuff like this.
Exactly. The difficulty is stacking on top all the cool things. Then the combos becomes the thing. 100-hit combo. Oh, how can you grind a rail and then grind on a wall and then not land on the ground while tagging in the air? You know what I mean? Like, it's a whole thing. And they have boss fights. The game is very, very involved. It's quite good. quite good.
What I like,
I'm gonna get.
what I like about
Mhm.
everything that you're saying, pretty much, is that this development team, obviously, they're fans of the material, right, of the Jet
Yep.
Set franchise. So when Sega isn't, kind of capitalizing on the franchise for whatever said reason, this is
Mm-hmm.
the Thanos moment, right? Fine, we'll do it ourselves, and
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
we'll make a game inspired from Jet Set, from they from an old time era that nobody really makes games like this anymore. and
Mm-hmm.
and stories like this make me feel good, man, because you got a game that you were kind of craving for, and you got that Jet Set flavor, and it's awesome, man. When stuff like this releases, you got to support it.
Absolutely. And I gotta tell you, before this came out, people were like, oh, there's a new remake of Jet Set coming out. I was super excited. And don't get me wrong, I still am. But now, after the bomb funk cyberpunk world is upon us, I'm saying I'm sorry, but Sega, you got some hills to climb, because
Which is
someone
good.
set a new standard that
Yeah,
outshines you in your own genre, which is
that's
amazing.
that's
So
good.
yeah. So okay, let me before we move forward, let me tell you what I mean by this game. It kicks you in the teeth a little bit. It's a little funky. So the whole game, right? You go through, you're beating the bad guys. You go there, and you find out that somebody else is in the background and kicking all the cops' butt all this time. And as you run away, he catches you, and look what happens.
Whoa,
Yeah.
whoa,
Uh-huh. And that's how the game starts, ladies and
damn,
gentlemen.
dude.
So there you go. This is
So
this
you're
is what I'm saying.
thinking
Like,
you're
uh-huh.
thinking that this is gonna be, a hokey pokey type of game, and all of a sudden you get
Yep.
hit
And
some
all of
with
a
a with
sudden,
a with a dose of Mortal Kombat there.
then
That's
all of a sudden,
awesome.
out of nowhere, booyah. And you're like, okay, what game are we playing? And you know what? I will leave it there. I won't continue the next scene because I want you to play it to find out.
That's
But let's
awesome.
just say it's very cool. It's a fun game. Fun game.
Shout out to Noof. I see him there in the chat. I'll be on his show a
Hey,
little
what's
later
going on?
tonight, so it
Oh,
should be a good
awesome.
time.
Awesome.
And
That's
Noof,
great.
last week I think that Cog was on the show,
Mhm.
and I listened to it, and it was a great time. So look forward to that.
Excellent.
And I know I made it a little bit late, okay, and I was supposed to be on hosting duty, so
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
the Gremlins got me, brother. But I will say that I want to give two big shout outs. The first one
Mm-hmm.
goes to you and Boxenberger for this past
Mm-hmm.
weekend. You guys put on a tremendous show. I know Everborn was coming back from vacation, so he's still not back full time on the gaming circle podcast. But you and Boxenberger, dude, you guys did a phenomenal job. Very entertaining show. Great, great conversation that you two had. The dynamic was there, and like you said, one of the things that I've loved about the past two episodes that you've done, obviously Everborn is irreplaceable, but one of the things that I've liked about the last two episodes that you've done is that you've brought in some international flavor here, where we've gotten to listen to gamers from across the pond, and kind of give their take on different gaming scenes, where it's sometimes we're in an echo chamber where we're used to just hearing ourselves here in the United States and stuff like that. So props to you on that. Boxenberger, go back, guys, and listen to that show. That was a great show. And then I got to give props, man, to the Iron Lords this past Sunday, yesterday. Peter Moore on the show, Kay Asante. What a special interview that was for longtime Sega Xbox fans. Even if you're a fan of gaming, just Peter Moore is such a charismatic character. He's one of these execs that he really had that charisma to him. And just a shout out to the Iron Lords for putting on what I feel was one of the best interview podcasts in the whole year. 2023, top notch up there. It was really up there. The stories that they said, Peter Moore talking about his career, bringing back some good old memories, man. And I want to give them a much deserved shout out, because they really knocked it out of the park with that interview.
I do not disagree on one point at all. I thought it was one of the greatest interviews. It's amazing. And actually, myself and Everborn Saga, we talked about that later. As you know, he is the other really big Sega fan that we know.
Mm-hmm.
And
Of course.
one bit of sage like wisdom or hope, if you will, that we took with us was this man who is on everyone's like Mount Rushmore. Okay, he is the pinnacle of pinnacles. He is the C-class executive that has done it all. We all know him. We all love him, and he literally started any of that at 45.
That's crazy.
What?
You know, that's unheard of.
Started before then. He lived a different life, nothing to do with what you know or care about. 45 is where he started his career that now makes him the man we know and respect today. So that tells you people, hashtag Graybeard, y'all ain't dead yet. Go out there, do your thing. That's amazing.
For
right?
sure. And how about this? From Peter Moore, we know him for his, for his, like I said, for his charisma, for his stuff like that. But the Iron Lords, Peter Moore, organically, was able to create another special moment that I tweeted about, X'd about, whatever you want to call it, earlier today. And he gave the Iron Lords something special in that interview, and he created another classic, what I feel is a classic Peter Moore moment towards the end, when he had to go. Go back and watch it, guys. Give the Iron Lords the like, the thumbs up. They deserve it. Share it out.
Absolutely.
Peter Moore deserves it. And, what you got to tip your hat for greatness. That was greatness right there.
Hey, man, they say there'll be a part 2. I am looking forward to that part 2. That's amazing, right? And you can kind of tell that Peter Moore has the same kind of jovial energy that ILP does, so he fit right in. It was fantastic. It was great. It was great. Sure. So shout out to them. As I always say on this show and on this channel, we are nothing but huge fans of those guys. We walk on the shoulders of giants, and they show us why every time they do a show. So salute to them.
Absolutely. So, okay, I know that we got a big show tonight. Obviously, Starfield is the talk of the town, the darling of the moment. So we're definitely going to cover Starfield on the show. We're going to cover it from a PC perspective, guys. Of course, this is a PC show, so a PC-centric show. So we're going to be talking about it, but with a little twist, without really deep diving into console talk or anything like that. We're gonna kind of attack it from that PC headspace. But first, we got a couple of segments that we got to get to first, and let's talk about the first one. Let's talk about our Backlog Brothers segment. Mr. K. Asante, you got that footage ready for us?
I do have that footage ready, and salute to the man himself who put this together, who requested that we play this. And man, you were on point. Ladies and gentlemen, give him a bow. Mr. Joanna Dark, he's in the chat. He's out there. He's probably playing on some various handheld device as we speak. Yep. This game, and by the way, the name of the game is Wanted. What is it? Weapons of Fate.
Yeah, Weapons of Fate.
Yeah, Wanted, Weapons of Fate, based on the game, the movie of the same name. The reason why I'm so surprised, and of course, we bring we come to this in a PC centric frame of mind. So yes, this was a PlayStation 3 game. Had I really looked around, I probably might have found that there was a PC variant of this game. But this time, I just went the old school route and I emulated the brother, right? So I just went in. Yes,
I did the same, and I will let you know right off the bat, everyone. Just play the RPCS3 version. It was running at over 150 frames the whole time for me. No, no hiccups at all. It ran like butter at 1440p.
There you go. So that's the way to go. To Mr. John Wolf's point, the game does not require much overhead. Like on my machine here, what you're looking at, if you squint really tiny, you'll see in the top corner. This is 4K footage at 144 hertz because that was the max of my display. I had unlocked the VSync, I think I was getting up to 380 max or something. And if you look at this thing, and of course, forgive us the degraded quality of the screen. Like when you're playing this game, man, it is the smoothest, cleanest looking game. If somebody told me some indie developer put this game together and released this recently, I would not be surprised. I wouldn't.
Very polished for what it is. Very
it's
polished
great.
For what it is. And
absolutely.
And the thing is that okay. So just like we've talked about before on our Backlog Brothers segment, that we've had the Punisher We've had we talked about Wolverine in the past, about that 360 PS3 iteration. This game, the developers took it serious, and that not only does it replay kind of like, the sequences of the movie, but it completely gives you the other side of the movie, which you don't
Mm-hmm.
see. Which, spoiler alert for those who haven't watched it, I mean, it's a pretty old movie now. I think you guys should watch this.
Mm-hmm.
It tells you the side of his father, which his father was an assassin as well. So you play through kind of like the father's sequences and stuff like that. Which, if you combine this game, the comic book, and the movie, dude, what a great story this franchise
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
It's really top notch up there.
And you know where they took this they took the liberties from, this idea from. This I would argue maybe this was better executed, but the OG idea of this came from the Matrix. I actually played Enter the Matrix recently. That's for those who don't know, that is how you can watch 8 hours of footage of the Matrix 1.5, I call it. What happens between Matrix 1 and Matrix 2, you know, characters like whole actors, well-paid people, including Jada Pinkett Smith, who you saw in Matrix 2, but you only saw a small part of her in Matrix 2. In that game, she has 8 hours of footage of just her running around doing stuff.
Dude,
and I actually stitched all that stuff together to watch that 1.5 movie. Like, it's really good.
You know? No, absolutely. Yeah. And the thing is that what's cool about this franchise, okay, hear me out, guys. This is going to be kind of a hot take here, okay? But the Wanted universe, in my opinion, it's more intriguing to me than even the John Wick stuff, okay? Because I love the John Wick stuff. Don't get me wrong. You know, I don't, don't get me wrong. It's great. But the Wanted stuff is a little bit more comic booky. And that's kind of like why I gravitate towards it. And dude, the characters, just the universe that they're in, the wackiness of I guess you could call them the abilities that they have. That let's call out the big one, right? Which is the curving the bullets. Okay. The curving the bullets is a gameplay element in this game that I need to see someone bring that back. Somebody needs to bring this back, because it is such a cool gameplay element. It adds like this layer of coolness that you just really feel like a badass. And I think that somebody hopefully brings that back.
I honestly will tell you that I think that the biggest disservice of this game is the fact that it was released as early as it was, or the IP in general. Because, like you mentioned right now, right? We live in the John Wick world where this exists, right? Imagine the IP had not been, prematurely, executed, and now is the first time they try it with the Stahelski's method that's out there and the fighting style and all that. Imagine they had taken a stab at it today, right? Pun not intended. Stab, get it? I guarantee it would be an IP that would have reverence that people would really, really appreciate, right? It's just it's unfortunate. Let's bring it back to PCs. It's unfortunate. It's like Microsoft releasing Cortana too early. Now you got an AI with no voice. Yeah. Right? Now you got to get rid of Cortana. Where's the voice? It's gone. Cortana's gone. So sad, right? This movie should have been out now with what we know now, with how these things get created now. It would have been so much better.
And Wanted, to me,
maybe the IP can come back in the game form. No, go ahead.
Yeah. No, what I was going to say is that Wanted, to me, falls in the same kind of movie bucket as Fight Club, where it's just one of these movies that it's just this period of time that it's the type of stuff that I appreciate, which is just over the top wackiness, and they're just going for it, balls to the wall. You know what I'm saying? And it's it's just the type of stuff, man, that there's no politically correct stuff in the movies or anything like that. It's just people having a great time, making a great movie, and just, with wacky ideas, and some of it sticks, some of it doesn't. But this is a great franchise, guys. And Mr. Joanna Dark, thank you for reminding me of how much I really love this universe. It really brought me back.
Well, he's back again with round 2. He says here's another recommendation that you guys should try. John Woo's Stranglehold. Ooh, I remember that game too. We should definitely try that. All right. Well, if you too want to recommend stuff for us to try out, Maybe we'll do 2 games, 1 or 2, depending on, join our chat, ask the question. We'll take it from anybody who wants to give it to us. Pause. But
Not in that way.
yes,
Come on, man.
I had to do it. But yes, Stranglehold, John Woo's Stranglehold, it's on the list. We'll definitely think about doing that next week. If I can get it together, I definitely will. Because, and especially now, like you can get a lot of those old school games, like even the PC version is pretty cheap online. You can download it, you can buy it, and you can really experience it, especially on your handheld devices these days that it's way more overhead than you even need. So it's great.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
And I know that I kind of came in because my PC kind of crashed and stuff there for a second, but let me tell you, man, with the recent release of, and this will kind of piggyback on what you're saying right now, with the recent release of Red Dead Redemption, I got FOMO.
Oh yeah.
I got big time FOMO this past weekend.
Please tell me you didn't buy the ridiculous version and you emulated.
Hell no, I didn't buy it. So okay. I already own. I've bought Red Dead Redemption like 3 times in my lifetime. Okay, so I'm owed that emulated version. So it's the truth. It's the truth. I've literally purchased the game like 3 times in my lifetime. Okay. So I emulated the Xenia version. Okay,
and then the 360 version.
Correct. Okay, and I will tell you. All right, I will tell you that's the best version there is. Okay, it has FSR built in, it has NVIDIA upscaling capabilities built in. I was playing this thing on my Asus ROG Ally and the eGPU at over 60 FPS, sometimes hitting 110. It was smooth as butter, and the more importantly, Kay, what a great game the original Red Dead Redemption is. I think that people need to go back just to experience the greatness of that game, because I think that today, and don't get me wrong, Red Dead 2 is a masterpiece in itself, but go back and just go on one of these landscapes riding your horse and look at the sunset coming down. Look at that field out there, and you'll see how amazingly they were able to do things on the Xbox 360 and the PS3 that to this day, just like this game right now, Wanted, does so many things well. Man, that game was doing things above its time, and shout out. I got to give Mr. Joanna Dark his props today. We make fun of the Abacus all the time. MVG put out a great video with a Switch that is overclocked. That sucker's hitting 60 FPS. So shout out to the Abacus for punching above its weight. So here we go.
I don't need to be that guy, but technically, you had to overclock the Abacus in order for it to breathe 60 frames per second into it. So technically, you had to breathe it back to life, right? You had to make it something it's not. You had to make it something it's not, which is performant, right?
Yeah.
You had to artificially inflate what it offers the standard consumer.
Mr. Joanna Dark. I tried to give the Switch some love, and look what this man does. He can't do it. He can't do it. Okay, but I will tell you.
We will give props to the Franken Switch, not the Nintendo Switch. How about that?
You want to hear a hot take? And since I'm the one that just blurs stuff out and then you correct me because you're the technical one, tell me what you think about this hot take right here. I think that the Switch has done as well as it has because it's running on NVIDIA chips instead of AMD. How about that? What do you think about that?
Give me your reasonings why. I'll tell you what I think, but give me your reasons why.
I just feel, and again, I'm talking completely out of my Hispanic butt right now. Okay, you'll be the one to bring me back, reel me back in if I'm going too far. From everything that I've seen, Kay, out there, I just feel like if NVIDIA, there's something about them that their stuff is just, dude, it's future proof. I don't know what it is. I think that it's future proof in a way that, look at the Switch, look at what it's doing. That Tegra chip has, dude, they have stretched that thing and molded it into things that I don't even think Nintendo thought was possible. And I don't feel that they could have done the same with an AMD chip. Am I going off the deep end here? What do you think?
Yes, you are going off the deep end, sir.
Okay. Hey, that's fine.
No.
That's why.
No. Let me reel you back in. Let me reel you back in. Okay.
Go ahead.
I hear you, right? And the end result is not to be denied, right? But what I will say to you, sir, my argument, my pushback on that would be that is the power of Nintendo and Nintendo alone, right?
Oh, okay.
The Tegra chips were at the end of their life. Remember, Tegra and Tegra X1 were at the end of their life when Nintendo put them into the chipset, right? Into the Switch, right? At that time, they had spent most of their lives in Atom processors, right? They were part of the Atom stack, right? So Atom laptops and really teeny tiny small performance stuff, right? So first off, the architecture was mature, right? So Nintendo could take it, and it wasn't like something that needed to be learned brand new, because in other contexts, people had already been used to using it. That's one thing. Second thing, they have a product that no one else can replicate, right? You can fight Nintendo, you can fight PlayStation versus Xbox all day. Why? Because although PlayStation has a far superior install base, Xbox is rolling with the punches. They have a tit for tat, right? They don't have this, they could have that tomorrow, that kind of thing. Ain't nobody coming close to Elephant Tusk Mario. Like, nobody's coming close to all the various franchises that gets people like Mr. Joanna Dark, who's Mr. Speeds and Feeds 4090, playing with an abacus, right? They are uniquely qualified in that they will get you to buy 3 of those pieces of crap before the end of their life cycle, because they just have that much skill in their gaming prowess. So I would argue that if they chose AMD would be shining still, because whoever they choose, it's about their developers, it's about their team literally wringing every single bit of juice out of that hardware. Imagine a huge rock that's being like crushed in the hands of like Captain America, right, and turning into dust. That is what they are doing with that abacus hardware, right? It has been left alone long ago. Even freaking Nvidia doesn't want to recognize its existence. They want them to move on. But the longer they stay with the hardware, the more mature the hardware is. You know exactly the ends of its capabilities. You can round peg, square hole it all day, make quote unquote impossible ports. People will give you all the slack in the world because look, it's an abacus. So even if you're running games that look like you got freaking Vaseline on your face, it doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying? They have everything to win and nothing to lose, everything to gain and everything to lose by going to that new hardware and then competing against what, PlayStation and Xbox? Hell no. Keep the abacus train rolling.
I gotta show love to the Tegra chip in the Switch, because I mean, look throughout the history of the Switch. We never I never expected The Witcher 3 to be released on the Switch, and they got it, and they got that sucker running. So
well, but that's because of like, see, again, I hear you, right? But don't give credit where it's not due. See, like to me, that's like saying, oh, that Snoop track is amazing. You hear that music? He did not produce that stuff, man. The producer is the one that deserves that credit. If you want to give Snoop credit, what words did he say? That's the only thing he's responsible for. Okay.
Gotcha.
The fact that The Witcher 3 performs well on the Switch is credit to NVIDIA for making a very robust architecture, right? And credit to the wizards at CDPR and all the other people who go, okay, I'm gonna shave this monster of a game down to the size of a freaking pencil point just so it can fit inside of a Switch, and they still achieve that. You know,
you see. Okay, so 2 things. First, Ty Talks wants to know where our music is at. I agree. I think we're missing that background music.
See, there you go. Yeah, this happens.
The Gremlins get apologies. Ty, the Gremlins got me first, and now it's getting K. So the second thing I will say is that You see why our dynamic works so well. I'm the Deadpool to your Cable. You see, I was completely 100%.
I love that. I love that.
So you're the Cable, I'm the Deadpool. So it works. The dynamic just works.
Anybody who knows Cable knows that I'm very much Cable. I really, I'm like, get this crap out of here. This is BS. What is this crap?
Anybody that knows me knows I'm more like Deadpool. So the dynamic just works. All right. So
very good. Very good.
It's okay. Let's Stranglehold. John Woo Stranglehold will be next on our for next week. We'll definitely do that.
Yeah.
And
you know what though, real quick, there are a few people in the chat. Stranglehold, that's one. Give us some ideas. I want to build the backlog. Right? Call the Backlog Brothers for a reason. I want to build a backlog. Tell me, give us some more ideas. Good ideas. We'll join the list and we'll start playing them and we'll show them to you. You know,
guys, it could be from any generation. You know, we'll try our best to emulate it on PC if possible, and if not, I mean, maybe it's on Steam or something. So throw that out.
The question is, what are the parameters? Parameters are simple. If it's a game that was playable way back when, we'll try it. Right? Don't make it difficult. Make it something that everyone would enjoy. Like this, you can play this and imagine yourself still enjoying yourself. Don't ask me to play Miss Pac-Man. I'll play it for you, but you might not enjoy watching it.
Or Devil's Third.
You know, but anything, you know, Nintendo, PlayStation, Xbox, OG, new school, old Nintendo, old consoles, whatever. We'll try it all. It's good to remind ourselves of the games that were what used to be, and potential fixes that the community have come up with in the time that it's been out. You know.
Absolutely. Kay, our next segment, I'll let you take the lead here. We were very fortunate to receive a review code. I'll let you take the reins so that you can let our viewers know about this game that we were able to try out.
Absolutely. Cool. Yes. Now, if you happen to check me out on GCP over the weekend, you saw I talked about it a little bit. It is a game called Viewfinder. And we played this game, myself and Mr. John Wolf were fortunate enough to get codes for this game. So shout out to Thunderful and Sad Owl Studios for the hookup. It was really cool of them to do so. And basically, what we're talking about, and if you're looking at this game, you know, this is basically a walkthrough that is being done here. And this is a game where the first thing I thought when I saw this game was, dang it, where is my VR version of this game? I want to hold up a Polaroid in the world, and I gotta walk on it just like you would in the real world. This game is like creativity on display like no other. I happen to play it on PlayStation 5. I enjoyed my playthrough on PlayStation 5, but actually, what I should have mentioned when I mentioned it was the controls on the PS5 cannot be changed, and the way the control scheme is, you use the right thumbstick to look around. But you can also use the touchscreen to look around, right? And since you can't turn the touchscreen off or the controls can't be changed, the touchscreen is super, super sensitive, like annoyingly so. So to the point where I'm playing the game and all of a sudden my finger grazes the touchscreen and I'm like spazzing out all over the place. And you can't touch the touchscreen off. You can't turn it off. So that was the only thing that I was just kind of like, this is kind of annoying. Nobody with man hands went through QA and went, nah, homie, we need to give an option to turn this off.
Yeah, I was lucky enough. I was lucky enough to play it on PC, and I played mouse and keyboard. And there you go. And I think that's definitely, from what you're telling me, that's definitely the way to go.
Yes, absolutely. So for those who may not know, this is a very puzzle heavy game. The Witness. If you guys have ever heard of a game called The Witness, it came out some years ago. An auteur of a developer by the name of Jonathan Blow. He's the one who did a few other very auteur-driven games. He released a game similar to this that had a lot of, I wouldn't call them visual gags, but they're visual puzzles, if you will. Right, so you put a photo in a certain position, it locks into the world, and now you can traverse that photo. Go ahead.
It's a very unique gameplay element in the sense that you're basically whenever it is that you position this photo, the photos that are around the levels for you to try to figure out the puzzle, you're literally creating a new world that you're walking into. So that dynamic right there is something revolutionary that I have seen in very little games, and it's something that's very, very cool and very different. And that's one of the things that I appreciated about it in my time.
Absolutely, yes. And to the point of Jonathan Blow and what he is, he's the man that created Braid, right? The game that literally, arguably, created Xbox Live Arcade, the one that was the first nail that really solidified them as a brand that people wanted to remember. And every time he's released a new game since, it's always been very revolutionary. He released a game that looked kind of like this with the visuals, and these guys seemingly have taken it to the nth degree. They've put more control in your hands by way of the Polaroid Instamatic, right? You at some point you get your hands on a camera and you can control the pictures that you add into the world. I love that they also play and I haven't beaten this game to its fullest conclusion. So hopefully they get to that place as well. But there's see here, you see the black and white, right? Mm-hmm. And then at some point you grab an 8-bit or 16-bit one and you're walking in and it's literally pixelated like crazy, like you're in that OG Nintendo world, if you will, right? Mm-hmm. Like I want them to go hard in that direction. Like, how crazy can you get with that visual change?
It mixes it up. It mixes it up very well. It keeps it fresh. In my 2-hour playthrough that I've done so far, I'm about 2 hours into it. And I don't think I'm anywhere near close to it, because here's the thing, right? And this isn't a knock on the game. This is a knock on kind of like myself here. I've played this game. The times I've tried to play it has been right after work, where I guess you can say my motivation and my patience is wearing thin. So this game has an incredible ability that when you finally figure out a puzzle, you get mad at yourself because you say, it was right.
It's so logical, right? It's so logical. Like look at this. Look what they're doing here. You're literally walking into a paper toy, right? And you're like, how do you get around it? Open the freaking door. Right?
Exactly.
It took me 20 minutes to figure that one out last time. I'm like, open the freaking door. Like, just open the damn door.
I have found myself rolling my eyes at myself like so many times throughout my playthrough so far that I'm like, come on, dude, like really? Like, are you did you not see that? So I give them props for coming up with unique, creative, different gameplay element, like different puzzle elements to it. I will tell you that the story so far, Kay, what I've seen what I've seen of it so far is that the story is told through these post-its that are kind of around the world, and also you have like a companion that's talking to you, trying to fill in the gaps. I'm a little bit lost, to be honest with you. I'm not really understanding what's really going on here. But I just feel like if a game like this, guys, this is one of these at least to me, one of these brain age type of games that it's like it's like a puzzle, it's like putting a puzzle together, but like in video game form, where sometimes it's not really about the story, it's more about just the action of putting the puzzle together and the satisfaction that you get that you completed such said task. And that's kind of how I've kind of been playing this game, which I don't know if that's the right or wrong way to look at it. But to me, it's definitely one that I honestly, when I started playing K, I was like, I don't know about this. I'm not really big into puzzle games. The only one that I really liked in my day was Portal. Portal is classic.
Oh, Portal is classic, bro. Ooh.
Because of the humor and all that. But to this game's credit, what I will say is that Polaroid gameplay feature, which you just enter like this whole new world and dynamic of the game, it's something really unique that it just pushes you. It gives you that little nudge. Yeah, it gives you a little nudge to keep unique. Playing.
It's special, absolutely. It has that special Portal thing, right? Because Portal had a thing that you'd never seen before, and you were just like, huh, this is really unique. This is cool, right? That mechanic is that thing. It has that small little thing that you just go, that's super interesting. And then they just expound on it more and more and more. It is very, very cool. I enjoy it like a lot. As to the story, like I hear you what you mean as far as you're not understanding. I've spent some time like playing the game. It's a combination of, you see those little phonographs that are sitting around?
Yes.
They also give you audio logs every time you go in it, right?
That's right.
Let me tell you the synopsis of this game, right? I haven't gotten to the end, so I don't know where ultimately it will go. But long story short, this game is basically telling you that in the real world, right, global warming has screwed up the world. Absolutely screwed up the world. It's over everything is red and scary and just gross. And you actually see the real world when you start the game, right? You're kind of in this Assassin's Creed like Animus, right? Why are you there? Because there were a couple scientists that are super geniuses. They were a husband and wife team. And when the world was going to crap, they built this VR world where they went in it and this kind of escaped the real world. And in doing so, they also invented and found some formula that can like save the world, right? And they're no longer around. So the question is, where's their formula? How can you use it to save the world? So you're in here, so rummaging through their virtual stuff to try and find that formula that you can then bring to the real world to save basically the world. That's the story.
And your name is not Altair, right? I just want to make sure.
Your name is not Altair, yeah. Okay, right? It's exactly the
sure.
Assassin's Creed formula. You're in their memories. Well, this is not even their memories. This is basically their stuff, right? And they happen to have audio logs everywhere, right? And pictures and the husband, they're both physicists or whatever, but the husband spends his time drawing things. That's why you see all the art on the walls and all the art. And his wife spends all this time cooking, so you see a lot of food. This is what I've gleaned from playing this game. It's very fun. It's cool.
Do you want to know something that took my gameplay of the last time I played it? Do you want to know what took it up an extra notch for me? Because it reminds me of it. Play the Inception soundtrack while you play this game.
Oh my God.
Give that a try. Give that a try because just that movie, as you know, you're in a dream within a dream within a dream, right?
Within a dream within,
This game, that's
trippy.
Kind of what it is. It's trippy in a way that you're entering these different dimensions, it's a world within a world. So play the Inception soundtrack while you play it and let me know what you think.
But you see this? This is why I say what just happened here on the screen is why I say, dang it, people, please. Port this. If you tell me this will release for the PSVR 2, I will buy a PSVR 2.
It's a missed opportunity.
The only reason why I'm waiting to buy a PSVR 2. I need a killer game. This to me would be a killer game for the PSVR 2. Right?
I agree.
You walk in there. Imagine you take a photo, you snap it, you're there, and now you're literally in a platforming world. Like all around you is Mario Brothers-esque, like they just did, but not on a flat screen. It's literally all around you.
All right, another hot take.
So cool.
Another hot take from the Latino Heat. You ready for this?
Oh, here we go.
Okay, Ratchet and Clank, eat your heart out. You're literally entering other levels because that's technically what you're doing. You're walking into other levels.
Yes.
Real time, no SSD required. So eat your heart
stop it. No. What they're doing basically, from a technical perspective, it seems like what they're doing is they're bringing assets to life in front of you, right? So they're taking your standard assets and look at that. Wow.
Yeah.
And you can look at that. You can take a picture
going into an X,
and you're just walking into it. Look at that. Mm-hmm. And you can take a picture, right? And then take a what do you call it? Make a Photoshop of it, like a photocopy of it. And every time you do, it gets grainier and grainier and grainier and grainier, but you can still walk into it. It's just wild. So in other words,
glad I played this. I'm really glad.
It's great.
To be honest with
it's
you.
Great.
It's
really
great.
Cool and game. Anybody who's been wanting to play games that, much like music, if you're bored with the radio hits and you're looking for something interesting that you wouldn't think to try out, you'd go, hey, this is really unique. All I will say is whoever made this, the team that made this, must have used some mind altering substances to come up with such a very, very unique idea. And as you can see on the screen, it just keeps going and going and getting even more complicated and more interesting. So once again,
I'm the shooter bang bang game player here, the Call of Duty head. I'm telling you guys, this is a great change of pace. For me, I was getting a little frustrated. Do not play this if you have a stressful job. Okay, play this when have a beer in hand, sit down,
chill. Play this as a Zen thing. Yes,
right. Play it with a family member, with your significant other. And
bro, you say this is you a shooty bang bang guy. That's what you say. Imagine putting, this is Zen. This is beautiful. Okay, imagine putting this hook in a shooter.
Oh, that would be
imagine putting this hook in a shooter. You're running around and then, you got to escape the bad guy and boom, you put a different world into this world in order to escape it. You're traversing various worlds at the same time, like people chasing you, through various worlds while traverse. Like, this idea is brilliant. This is why I love indie space. You know, they cultivate these kind of things. Yeah,
I agree. And one more thing that we didn't mention about the gameplay element. So there is a rewind feature. Okay, that it allows you to rewind. Like, for example, while you're trying to figure out the puzzles and kind of like put the, flip the Polaroid to see where it fits and stuff like that. There's a rewind feature, which is kind of, it's not unlimited, because that's the challenge of the game, right? But it gives you just enough for you to try several times that you finally figure it out. But that rewind feature, it's very cool, because it kind of allows you to kind of reset in a way that's natural, and it's not like, oh man, like I'm kind of confused here, now I have to retrace my steps. So that gameplay element I found to be very helpful in the game. I thought that was really good.
It's almost Forza Horizon-esque, how you're racing, you have a bit of an issue, rewind, and it shows you, like for example, as you're seeing here, you put photos in your path, right? If you made a mistake and it didn't complete, you can rewind time a little bit, right? And then boom, you're back. There's an X that shows you where the photo connected. Go backwards and try it again. Yeah. Long story short, this game is awesome. I talked about it on the show. But I thought we should talk about it again. And the PC experience, have you found there to be any differences? I found that, at least in my playthrough, like the settings and stuff were minimal. It's just get to the game, turn everything up to 11, plays great. I
didn't mess at all with the settings. I just literally installed it, clicked start, and I started playing, and it was running smooth, no crashes, nothing like that. So it was really good.
Excellent. So yeah, thanks again to Thunderful, and thanks again to Sad Owl Studios. And yes, we have been using the Keymailer community to help us get access to certain codes and stuff. And they saw the growth in the channel and all that, and they thought, hey, why don't you guys talk about it and take a look at it and see what you think? I think it's awesome. I'm looking forward to it. Secretly, I'm in the bag because I love most of Thunderful stuff. I spend a lot of time in Game Pass playing a lot of Thunderful games. I think they much like your Devolver Digital, your the studios of that kind. They seem to pick very unique signature style stuff that always represents them well, and this is definitely one of those as well. So shout out to them. Yep. This is really good.
Great job.
So back to your leading duties, sir.
Yes, sir. Okay, so the big topic of the week, guys, and the reason that we're all here is Starfield. That's on everybody's mind. That's on everybody's timeline. That's the talk of the town. Okay, couple of things. So we know that this game launches for early access members on the 1st, right? September 1st, I think, is what we got, or is it the 31st? It's just the timing is a little weird with the Pacific
I think
right?
people might take some New Zealand trips to make sure they're on time. That's probably gonna go down. But yeah, it is. I think, if I'm not mistaken, it's actually September 1st, like midnight, 31st, that kind of thing.
Right. So we all know what this game means to Xbox as a brand, Xbox the console / PC, just the whole brand, what this game means to the brand going forward. We do know that a couple of community members got review codes. So people seem like if they're very excited. Obviously, there's a lot of hush because they're under strict NDAs and they really can't give any information, any hints, anything like that. But one of the things that we have continuously heard throughout the whole delay of Starfield, once it was delayed from last year, is that this would be one of Bethesda's most polished games that Todd Howard proper has ever released. And that's something that I think is very exciting, right? But our conversation is going to go a little bit towards the PC space here, Kay. Let me ask you, Bethesda, their history is kind of synonymous with PC. I think that's something that we all know here, and that's something that that gives us PC players something to look forward to. Yes, they've always been known as Bugfesta. That's part of their charm. It is what it is. But Kay, let me ask you, what's your history, you personally, with Bethesda on the PC space? Where did you start with them? What game do you remember playing first with them? How far back does your memory go?
Oh, I mean, Oblivion. Obviously, I played Oblivion with them. I've played I actually played one of the OG, the first Fallout that they did, because obviously Fallout wasn't their franchise first until they bought it, right?
Yeah.
I played Fallout beforehand, which was a very different game. For those who want to check it out, go back into time, go back to the museum, go to GOG. You'll still find it there. It's still available. So I was playing it there. My real okay, I get what these guys are doing experience with Bethesda was Skyrim, right? When they first when Skyrim first came and blew the game away as it did, even in the console space it was, right? And for a long time it was basically, to me, a game that was a benchmark that others were going to be judged against, right? And as you know, I tend to be I'm a technologist. I enjoy lots of different kinds of hardware. So when the idea of Skyrim in VR came about, that's what blew my mind. So and let's be clear here. People think Skyrim in VR, you think, oh my God, the blocky textures, it was crappy back then, and you're gonna put it on your face. That is Skyrim in VR after 200 mods have been applied, right? Where everything is just beautiful and amazing looking, and then you put it on your face, right? It looks absolutely, but and of course, in this realm, we're talking hardcore overhead. You need to have a PC that can run it, that kind of thing, right? But when you're able to do that, it's revolutionary. Then you start seeing, and people may think, oh, well, you have to modify it before you can have fun. No, I think that when you're able to get it to your 60 frames, or get the contrast textures, or whatever textures, or some people have put ray tracing, whatever it is that makes you feel like, oh wow, this is something that I now want to play through again. It helps you see how amazing and how much effort that Bethesda put into it in the first place, right? Because people get so hung up on the speeds and feeds, and they got hung up on the veneer of the graphics and all of this, right? But once you pass that point, once you've traversed that divide and go, okay, well, I finally hit that 60 frames, so now it's worth playing. Or, oh, I finally put that real-time ray tracing patch in, so now every light looks amazing, now it's worth playing. Whatever the now it's worth playing is for you, then you start playing it and you realize, wow, these guys were on another level in the 90s. They were doing it then, right? And now they're just adding more and more and more. So, of course, Starfield, wow, I can't imagine where they're going to start from, let alone where mods will take it, right? If you're paying attention to them porn star streets, that's what I'm gonna call it out now, porn star streets, not X.com. If you're paying attention to them streets, you'll notice I don't have soundboard, so I have to be outlandish with my mouth. There's a difference. See? If you pay attention to them streets, you'll notice that somebody has already created the Millennium Falcon in the game, and it was shouted out by Starfield's Twitter page themselves.
I heard that.
So so it's crazy out there. They're doing amazing things. They're leaning into it, right? And I see you out there, Javier. I see you. He says Starfield VR, brother. You cannot. I cannot be dreaming. No. Now, if Starfield did do VR, now I'm going to say this one thing, and I'm going to go to mute, because as soon as I say this thing, Mr. John Wolf was going to lose his mind. After he finishes laughing, he's going to make his case for the next 15 minutes. If Starfield does become VR, then more and more people will lose the thread and the argument when they say that Starfield is like No Man's Sky. Go ahead.
All right. So, and I see you muted yourself there, okay? Because that right now is a hot take in the community. First, let me circle back to some of the things that you were saying about Bethesda proper and mods and stuff like that. So, I do believe that this game is going to shine more so than the console version because of the mods. Is that fair for me to say? Kay, what do you think about that? Oh, hold on, dude. Okay, so are you there, Kay? What happened?
So I mute and I start talking and I forgot that I was on mute. So there you go.
Okay. I was gonna, okay. So Do you agree with that? That Starfield more
Absolutely.
than likely it's gonna be, the PC version of it is gonna be probably the premium version in the sense with the
Oh, I
mods, right?
mean, I mean, come on. Like, if you have premium hardware, you get a premium experience. We know that because we are PC gamers. Yes.
Right. Okay. So one of the things that I think I've heard a lot of people, especially Bethesda heads, say in the past that I kind of agree with everything I've seen of all the modding that I've seen on Fallout 3, 4, New Vegas, stuff like that, is the fact that Bethesda, when they create a game, unlike many developers, they create literally a world that people just live in. Like people just go absolutely nuts and they lose themselves in. And that's something that I really look forward to when Starfield comes out. I really want to lose myself in this game. With all the planets that are going to be modded out there, and all the planets that are going to be introduced proper into the game by the team. I think that it's going to give us so much that we're going to be discovering things for years to come. Okay, that's just something that I assume here.
I don't
So,
disagree. I don't disagree. Now, but let me twist the knife on you a little bit. Let me just
mhm,
twist it. Let me twist the conversation on you just a slight bit here, okay?
go ahead.
While I agree with you, and this is me, the preamble of me agreeing with you, while I agree with you, right, that this is the preemptive game, people are going to love it. The reason why games of their ilk make as much of an impact in the world is it seems like every other developer seems to be developing for the story they're trying to tell, and then they put window dressing on afterwards, right, which is the world building. Whereas it seems that Bethesda does it backwards. They build the entire world, everyone's story, all that extra stuff, and then they build the story last. So the world is alive, so much so that even if you don't go to the story, there's just so much to see and do that you won't care about the story, right? It seems they do it in reverse, and that's why we like it, right? But it seems that also, as historically great as they also have a historical past of being a bit aggressive with their marketing and their selling of the item. How many versions of Skyrim are there out there, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now, I twist this conversation because I want to bring this to, and I see our great PC focused community in here. I want y'all to weigh in on this. And Mr. John Wolf, you tell me what your thoughts are. What are the thoughts on the fact that these folks with their aggressive marketing are bringing some of the saltiness, some of the untoward nefariousness that tends to plague the console space into the PC space? Now, what do I mean by that? I mean, look at what's going on right now where AMD FSR is prioritized. Nay, not even prioritized. It's exclusivized on this game that everyone knows needs frame generation yesterday. It needs frame generation yesterday. Yeah, FSR is okay. FSR can probably get the job done. I'm sure they're going to put a lot of work in to get FSR done. But because of their marketing, because of their exclusivity deals and this and that, what is offered day one? Only FSR. No DLSS, no processing power and horsepower that you and I both know based on the Steam review surveys that 9 out of 10 people have in their machine today. You won't make any use of it. Why? Because they decided to get the bag from AMD.
That's the thing.
What are your thoughts, sir?
Yeah, it's and I'm glad you brought this up because honestly, it's one of these topics that it's not a deal breaker. Obviously, people like myself and yourself are still going to be excited to play the game on PC. People have built PCs just for this game that we know inside the community, but it is a hot debate right now. And the problem is that, as you mentioned, that console-esque marketing type thing there with AMD is kind of weird to me, especially as a newcomer, right? Because we touched upon this a couple of weeks ago with Kirby Zero Louise, where we talked about, hey, is this a normal thing? I asked you and him the question: is this a normal thing where companies are aligning themselves with graphic card manufacturers and kind of holding back features for said, for the other graphics cards? And I do think that it's very unfortunate, especially for a big game like this. where the majority, I would say, of the players are going to be on the Nvidia side. For AMD to lock this down, it's it kind of, I don't know, it kind of stings a little bit. You know what I'm saying? It kind of stings a little
bit.
I hear
you. I mean, and let's be clear for any folks in there think that we're sitting here in our fields.
No, not at all.
It's a day and a half job for some smarter community members than us. I bet you'll see a DLSS mod soon, right?
And I think, and I read somewhere that
and by the way, there's actually, shout out to the great Luke Lore expansion pass in the building. What's going on, sir?
For sure. And I think I read somewhere that the individual that is actually working on that patch got a review code. So that patch is going to be, it'll be here soon. So it's not a worry. That's the thing about the PC space. You Thanos it, snap it into existence.
It's just the idea that they could have done right by the consumer base, right? Right? Like this thing is such, well, by your own admission, Bethesda, this thing is such CPU load heavy that that you've had to make concessions on the console side, running at 30 frames and all of this, right? That. So any upscaling techniques, any offset of resources would be beneficial at all, right? The idea that, they could have dropped it to 1080p instead of 1440p and all of that, right? All that stands, but let's be clear that because they didn't do that, it seems to me that they thought that what they'd gain from it was not as much as what they lose, right?
I agree.
So that does speak to the idea that maybe the CPU bottleneck is heavier than the GPU bottleneck, and because of that, even if you drop to 1080p or whatever, you'll lose the fuzziness and you still won't get your 60 frames. It is what it is. But all these other processes in place help to offset that. But instead, marketing kind of gets in the way, and here we are with it, right? Like, you don't put your technical first foot forward. You always go where the marketing or the dollars lead you, even if that means ultimately the product, first impression of the product suffers.
What I think that the most disappointing part of it is that you're here sitting with something that you paid a premium for, and one of the features of said premium product is not going to be usable in this game without some sort of mod or hack or something like that. So
absolutely,
that part is kind of disappointing. I will tell you though, on the flip side of it, right? Because where there's a negative, there's also a positive, and we're two positive folks. I do think that the deal that is in place is going to help though on these PC handhelds that we're so high on. So I do think that's a plus. That is a plus coming out of it.
To me, that means they gotta hold AMD's feet to the fire on driver releases on time. Shout out to you, Mr. John in the Dark. I see you in there.
Yep.
Absolutely. Now, I see Roshan Eppinger in the chat. Salute to you. He leaves a message saying, "Talk to me about UE5 being a resource hog. I saw an interesting video today on how high performance spec PCs are just getting 45 frames per second." Absolutely, they are resource hogs. Like, people did not pay attention to that when they saw that Matrix demo, when it was barely hanging on. Now, people said initially that, it was in its beta form. Yeah, but it's still a big resource hog. Did you not notice that, Ms. John Wolf?
I did. Yeah, I did. I noticed right away that, and at the time, without really thinking too much about the technicalities of it, I just thought, the tool's early. They got time to kind of figure out the tools and kind of optimize. But as the generation has gone on for the console side, I kind of seen that I don't know anymore. And also for the graphic card, the graphics card side of things, I think that they're kind of relying on upscaling technology now more than ever. So
exactly. See, that's where you're going. 100%. Yes. So because those tools and Unreal Engine 5 has a whole bunch of different tools, right? They're not using the standard fare that you recognize. The buzzwords you hear in the console space, your ray tracing and your this and your that. They have different methods of achieving the same goal, right? But because they have different methods of achieving the same goal, those methods are not the same methods that the tried and true open source methods are, right? You've heard of ray tracing. DirectX ray tracing has been part of the DirectX framework for a while now. A lot of people know it. So when you're making a game for it, maybe on the Vulkan side, you use a different standard, but it still achieves the same DirectX, the same ray tracing outcomes you want, right? When you're using Nanite, there's no ground that has been plumbed for that new technology. So while the Series S and X have all these great, interesting, various API-driven pieces of tech that'll help you offset cost or offset resource cost, none of that is brought to bear. Nanite just uses just straight pipe as you would on a PS5, for example, right? So I say all that to say, while the technology matures, let's say specifically with an Unreal Engine 5 perspective, they would need to work closely with Microsoft and the DirectX team to implement some of that. And I hear they're doing that because direct storage is being talked about being put into Unreal Engine 5, which direct storage is an inherent DX12 feature, right? So they're slowly bridging that gap. And the more they do that, the more you'll see that the consoles and the other hardware that have limitations get to perform better, because now they're leveraging the existing hardware and its pluses and minuses, rather than, hey, here's some resources, crunch the numbers, you can handle it, right? And most of them can't. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You know, so that's the deal. Yeah.
Yeah.
One last question.
Sure.
One last question that was asked, and I want to pop it on the screen as well, because he's a great member of the community. He deserves to be heard as well. Question for you guys, says Mr. Tide Talks. Why are PC people so iffy about using a different browser? I just find it baffling that people are like Steam or nothing. It's literally free to switch apps. Please explain. And you know what, Mr. Tide Talks? Sir, I wholeheartedly agree with you. I will once again mute and let Mr. John Militant explain himself.
All right, Ty. I'm gonna let you know why. Because it's an extra click. That's why. It's
oh God.
It's an extra.
Oh God.
Okay. Hold on a second.
I was gonna be quiet, but seriously, an extra click.
Hear me out. Just hear me out real fast, okay? Ty, you need to understand something. Steam has made it Steam has spoiled us, okay? And that's the problem here. We're dealing with a first world problem where I am, like Mr. Joanna Dark says, a missionary game launcher gamer. I want to use Steam for everything. I admit it. Whenever I hear that Epic has an exclusive deal with a game, I roll my eyes. I'm like, dude, really? Why? Like, why? Why are you gonna make me buy that game on Epic? Now I have to create a shortcut within Steam that's going to launch the Epic Games launcher, that's going to start it on there. And I know these are console-minded thoughts. I come from that console headspace, but why?
This is a safe space. This is a safe space, Mr. John Wolf. This is a safe space. This is not a space where this narrative you're peddling right now counteracts our supremacy over the PC of the console troglodytes. No, this doesn't counteract that narrative at all.
Listen, man. Listen, I don't care what nobody says. Ty, hear me out. When I understand that you're looking into getting a PC, especially for Starfield, when and if you do, just hear me out, brother. Come and talk to us. We'll invite you on the show. Once you get your feet wet and you start messing around with different launchers and stuff like that, come to me and tell me that you enjoy waiting for the Ubisoft browser or launcher to do its thing, to log you on, to do all these things in the background while you're just waiting for your game to launch. And you're like, dude, I already launched Steam. Where's my game?
Look.
Come on, man.
I hear you, sir.
Facts.
No.
Come on.
I hear you, sir. But while I hear you, I will push back, because now you're doing what non-PC people do. Oh, Windows 95. Oh, installing them drivers. Because yes, the Ubisoft launcher is annoying, but it's one browser for one game platform. Most of the game platforms do not. Epic Games has nothing to do with Ubisoft, and it's a simple click. And guess what you get? Free 99, sir. There's no excuse.
Ty, let me ask you a question. Are you the type of guy that when you buy that you use all the compartments in your refrigerator, or do you just like to put the eggs right there front and center? Or do you like to put the eggs one by one in the little egg carton thing? No, just put the eggs right there, open it up when you need it, and use it. Like, come on, man. This is ridiculous.
So, ladies and gentlemen, this is a man who, remember, he returned his first Steam Deck because it didn't look like it didn't look like an Xbox UI. Okay, he loves what horrible. He loves, and he will not change.
I don't know, man. I just like really, like, I'm telling you, man, you're gonna feel it. And there's people in the chat that I know that you feel me, man. I know that every time that you see that you have to launch that EA launcher, you're already rolling your eyes like, oh, I hate the EA launcher.
No.
See, if not, you're just lying to yourself.
You're conflating issues. That's what you're doing. You're conflating issues. Okay. The scourge, the real scourge, is the fact that if you have a launcher, if you bought a game in Steam, right, the game should launch from Steam because you bought a game in Steam, right? If you bought a game in the Ubisoft launcher, the game launches from the Ubisoft launcher. Simple and straight. Right. I have no issue with any of that. No. Hear me out. I think that's why you're conflating the point here, right? The problem that's happening in the PC space that's annoying as hell is the platform launchers, the launcher manufacturers have realized that there are a lot of John Wolfs in the world, right? Who refuse to buy or pedal or even click on their launcher. So now they'll sell their game in Steam, and then the minute you hit play my game from Steam, it launches their launcher first before it launches the game, which is absolute. Correct. That is a Travis democracy of epic proportions, and it needs to be outlawed by Valve. Like, people need to be shot in the streets for doing such things. On that, you and I get no argument, right? No argument, not at all. But to say that issue, as scourgy as it is the same as a different app store offering you free 99 for games such as what do you call it? GTA 5 and Remnant from the Ashes and all these who's who of popular titles, even Red Dead Redemption, I think. Like Red Dead Redemption 2 was offered free on that service. Man. But because you refuse to click the next one, because of that, you'd rather pay the cost to then be able to say, oh, it's on Steam. On that, I say hogwash, sir. I will not ride with you down that sunset. Now, if you want to pick up the pitchforks, and fight the good fight that is ending the scourge of dual launcher launching, oh yeah, I'm there with you, bro. Let's pick it up. Let's head down them streets.
Look, I agree with you. You will not get an argument from me that the free games is a plus. It's an incentive for the inconvenience of clicking those other launchers. Okay.
Every time I hear anybody complain about any inconvenience outside of Steam, do you know what I think of?
Listen, man.
WALL-E. Did you see the movie WALL-E?
Yes.
Every time I hear, as far back as whenever I hear anybody complain about using a different launcher, I see WALL-E, where humans could just not be like burdened
just laying in the chair, like
freaking finger to the point where everybody got fat and round and roly-poly like a bunch of idiots. Like,
I'm there. I'm at that level right now with the launchers. Okay, but I'll tell you this. This is the part that gets me. Exactly, Pixel G. Okay, Pixel Bit G. You got like 10 launchers to go through, brother. This thing, it reminds me of just malware all over your PC. Malware, just opening up. Click here, click there.
First
start
off,
your game here.
Read the second part of his tweet, though. Read the second part of his message, though. He has 10 launchers. See, well, hold on. He has 10 launchers, but first he goes where the game's at. That's part A, and part B. When you play in them PC waters long enough, you know what to do. Just download the GOG Galaxy launcher, and it aggregates all the other launchers, so you never have to deal with it ever again.
Or Malwarebytes because Malwarebytes thinks that all these launchers are malware, because everything's opening in the background. Click here to get email updates. Click here to be enrolled in our giveaways. Dude, it's pretty bad, okay? And the thing is that I know I'm exaggerating it, and I'm just I'm playing it up.
Hey. You are not exaggerating. You're not playing it up. And to that I bring Dorian Gray, thank you for being here, good sir. He says, I don't know why people have to make it their business what I use. Screw Epic and their console exclusivity mindset.
That's what I'm talking about.
There you go.
It's like, dude, just launch the game everywhere. Maximize. But at the same time, look, coming from the consoles, I understand, the Epic Games and Ty, he did ask, isn't it, he talks to his friends about this, isn't it good for competition? Absolutely, brother. Like, don't get me wrong. I understand the business side of it. Just as a user, dude, I'm not going to lie to you. Like, that's one of the first things that I kind of found like off-putting about the PC when I first started. I was like, dude, this is a pain in the butt.
But this is what's
man.
ridiculous. This is what's ridiculous. Ready? Okay. Mr. John Wolf, do you have a PS5?
Of course.
Do you have an Xbox?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Mr. John Wolf bought an Xbox, found the Xbox App Store in it, went, I love it. Didn't find the PlayStation App Store in the Xbox. And what did he do? He went and bought a PlayStation just so he could get the PlayStation App Store as well, right? On PC, Mr. John Wolf is offered Steam. He loves it. On PC, they're not making him go buy another PC to be able to launch the Unreal App Store or whatever. You could just click it, free 99, and it's right there. He's like, nah, son, screw that.
It's not that, man.
But on the console side, he was like, all right, Sony, I will bend over, even though you could put your app store on the other platform too.
And get a tramp stamp right on the back. But it's not even about that, okay? The thing is that honestly, like the only thing is that per se in your example, PlayStation is not telling you, hey, you want to play Assassin's Creed? You got to install this launcher just to launch the game exclusively through their stuff because you can't go through our stuff because there's some red tape there. Like all that stuff happens in the background. You know what I'm saying?
When you say that, although I agree with you, I gotta kind of because on console, some Ubisoft games launch Ubisoft Connect when you launch the game.
Yeah, that is true.
So there's that. They kind of do the same thing on the console side a little bit. You know what I'm saying?
You're not wrong. It's just I guess the better word is it's not as intrusive and like true. Obvious. And so like obvious like it is on the PC space where again guys, it's not a big deal. Like the truth is it's not a big deal. I'm nitpicking here.
Mr. John Wolf wants
I just want to know the truth. Hold on.
Mr. John Wolf wants the exclusive Epic PC where only Epic games are on.
I just want to know the truth from the chat. And Kay, I know your answer is you don't care, but I want the truth from the chat. Do you not roll your eyes when an extra launcher is launching? Yes or no? Just answer the question. Yes or no that you go,
well, but no. But see, that's the problem though. Again, you're conflating the issue. If I go to the Epic Game Store, right? And here's the deal. This is exactly what I'm talking about. If I go to the Epic Game Store, because right now I now own a copy of GTA 5 at the Epic Game Store, right? If I go to the Epic Game Store and I say I want to play GTA 5, right? And then I hit launch and it launches GTA 5 from the Epic Game Store, I'm good. I don't care. I'm in the Epic Game Store. I hit launch GTA 5. It launched GTA 5. I'm gully. I'm good.
Listen, man, you guys got no loyalty,
for me,
and that's
a problem.
That's a problem
For me, right? The real problem for me is when I go to the Epic Game Store or I go to Steam or wherever the hell I go, and I go, okay, launch Game X, and then they launch their launcher first before they launch that, and that's not an Epic Game Store problem. That's everywhere. That's even on Steam. I hate that stuff with the passion of 1,000 suns. You know, it's so bad that Valve had to put some secret sauce inside certain games, inside flavors of Proton to be able to bypass that because on Steam Deck you can't manipulate that screen to get it to go away.
I just feel like it's very intrusive, dude. Like
intrusive,
of it,
annoying.
Some of it.
Yes.
That's all I'm saying.
Sub launchers.
That's about it.
See, but this is the point, right? Let's get on the same page. We'll call them sub launchers. Launchers that launch after you've launched the launcher, right? Sub launchers are the scourge of the world.
Tolerable, but tolerable.
I do not like them at all. I'm 100% with you. Sub launchers need to go away, right? if you want to give Epic Game Store any bit of smoke and have me stand behind you in that smoke you want to give them, Epic Game Store has this unique ability where they can put their hooks into a game where until you authorize them to be able to like either authorize online use or whatever, no matter what game you're playing, even if it's a game that's like single player, it'll jump you out of the game and put a browser in front of you and say, hey, do you authorize this? Mm-hmm. Epic Game Store uniquely does that. You want smoke? That's where I think their smoke lies, right? But the idea that they're offering free games and you can get it and you just have to launch their browser.
Great. No, that's
all that stuff. I got no issues. But the sub launchers launching, yeah, on that I feel you. And even Microsoft had to kowtow to it, unfortunately, right? You launch the launcher, and what do you get? The EA launcher first.
No, you know? but the thing is that who in their right mind is going to the EA launcher and buying games off EA? You know what I'm saying? That's why it's kind of like, really? Like I got this EA library supposedly, when I really don't. It's really a Game Pass library.
You see what's going on right now? Look, I feel like I'm a monkey right now, and Luke Lore is standing in the wilderness and going, I'm learning so much right now. but watching the in the habitat, you know what I'm saying? The animals in their natural habitat.
We're in the same page here, and I'll tell you why. Because when I started gaming on PC, dude, I got so confused with Game Pass. Okay, and I'll tell you why. When Game Pass announced the deal that they were going to have EA games and you were going to have EA Plus or whatever it's called, I remember downloading a couple of EA games and I tried to launch them through the Xbox app on my PC and nothing was happening. And I'm like, what am I doing wrong here? Oh, well, what do you know? You have to launch the freaking game through the EA launcher. And I'm like, what? Why? So, I thought this game was on Game Pass.
Let's put some context to this. Let's put a little bit of technical context to it. Okay. People remember when they announced that EA Play deal, people were super excited. Oh my God, this is going to be amazing, right? And then it went away for almost a year and you wouldn't see and or hear anything about it, right?
I remember.
In that meantime, EA switched their launchers. Origin used to be the launcher of choice, right? And now they have the quote unquote EA app, right? And this is obviously all rumor and speculation on my part, but I was very close to it. I've been watching it as it matures. So if I'm wrong, please, someone in the community, tell me I'm wrong. But I think I've honed in on it. You cannot so when they make their games, right? They, depending on where you're launching it, they associate it via like APIs or whatever to that app store, right? So now this is a Steam game or this is a EA Play game or whatever, right? In order to then put it in the Game Pass properly, they would have to disassociate the bits, go back in, reassociate it, turn it into a Windows Store game, like a proper game that goes at the Windows Store, in order to disassociate that App Store association, right? If you do that on a game-by-game basis, you're going to be at it for a while. They want to put the whole library in there day one, right?
I understand.
And to my understanding, even before then, they were doing something similar in Steam with Origins, and it was a very bad situation. I own a few, Crisis games that are obviously EA-owned Crisis games, but they're on Steam, and it launches Origins every time you launch the game, and it really can get stuck there because of it. Like, it becomes problematic. So I think from a technical perspective, and it's also very much self-serving because EA wants to put their EA app in front of you whenever possible, right? But from a technical perspective, in order to make sure all those games can join the App Store, boom, day one, all those games without any legwork in the background, you basically shortcut it, right? I launch it from the Xbox store, it launches the EA store, you got your game. If you want to disassociate that EA store, you got to go in piecemeal and remove them one by one. Are you going to do that for every game in your library?
It's not feasible. Not. Yeah,
that's why. Not. Is it annoying? Oh, hell yeah. It's annoying.
No, it's annoying. And the thing is that for me, like, I know it sounds, kind of elementary and kind of basic, but I was really lost. I honestly, I had no idea that there were this many launchers and rules when it comes to stuff like that. Yeah, I'm used to it by now, and I don't have a problem with it. Like even Baldur's Gate 3, to Pixelbit G's credit, he's pointing out that they even have some sort of launcher that's kind of wonky in its own way. I mean, but still, it was a little shocking, to be honest with you, with the amount of stuff like this. It's not a deal breaker. It's not gonna like if this is the reason, if this is the type of stuff that's keeping you away from PC gaming, I think that all of the benefits of PC gaming outweigh the launcher thing. Don't get me wrong here. I know I'm just being comical about it, but I gotta be real too. I wanna be real with it, and I don't like it. Like I think it's kind of inconvenient.
I think we should button this conversation up in this way, and I really do appreciate that you brought this up, because I think it's a new problem that is brought about by folks like yourself who are now in the PC space, right? And I think it's a very good place we find ourselves to have folks like yourself in the PC space, because folks like me who've been in the PC space forever, those are just par for the course, right? But, and I'll bring up another scenario that will really, really thread this needle for you before we get out of here, right? Like folks that are now in the PC space but were brought there via the console space expect a bit more continuity rather than that, oh, here's the launcher, click on it. Oh, it doesn't even have a shortcut. Go find where it is installed and go find the binary, the exe, and then go launch it there, right? They expect a bit more togetherness, a bit more throughput, right? A bit more thoughtfulness when it comes to how it's presented, right? Especially folks in the handheld game. While we're in a world right now where the ROG Ally is enjoying all this notoriety and respect, right? For a long time, Steam Deck was the only name of the game. And the good thing about Steam Deck is Proton can be that middle layer, right? So Proton can translate anything that Windows says to something that Steam can understand. And you can kind of be the middleman with Proton to kind of change things. But when you're running Windows, it presents this exact problem that you're describing in a different way. Let me give you an example. Atlas Fallen, Baldur's Gate 3, Jedi Survivor. Do you know one problem that all three games have? Like you said, they have their various launchers. They're very good, because when they're good and they have launcher support and they have background like that, then they also support cloud saves, right? But the bad side of cloud saves is, in the PC world, they have been so used to, well, you put your PC on and you play your game. What's the problem? Shut up, move on, right? What about if you're me, who have a ROG Ally and a big PC? And today I'm playing Jedi Survivor on the Ally. It's running at 720p, upscaled based on RSR on the AMD device, right? It's running at 60 frames. It's performing great. The minute you then later on either turn on your PC, it goes, oh no, you're still running it on the handheld. Oh, screw, and everything goes to hell. Problem one. Problem two, you boot it up backwards, because even if you boot it up forwards, yeah, it's a problem, you move on. But when you boot it up backwards, it's such a pain in the ass. And what do I mean by that? I'm playing it on my 4090 liquid cooled. I'm having a great time. The frames are spilling all over the place. You can see Cal Kestis's grill with all the nice gray beard, right? I gotta go take my kid to Taekwondo real quick. I pick up the ROG Ally. I want to continue on the go. The minute I turn on that game, the ROG Ally screams within an inch of its life. You know why? Because EA likes to give it the 4K 60 treatment, because that was the last place you were playing it.
Those settings. Yeah, those universal settings get you.
Stupid. You don't recognize I'm on a different device? What the hell is wrong with you?
It's one of those things that
setting.
I think that it's just one of those things that I think that they have kind of I think that they've underestimated how much PC gamers are now going to be playing cross device. And that's something you bring up a great point. That's something that they need to figure out for your unique device to be recognized for those particular settings, because like you just said,
try it out, man. Try it out. It's hilarious. You're playing on one thing, It's great. The minute you go to the Ally, it's running 2 frames a second because you just hit you with 60 frames per second with 4K 60. You know?
I'll tell you where I experienced that, and it made me restart my ROG Ally. Doom Eternal. I was playing it on my PC, and the settings are universally set. So as soon as I turned on the ROG to try to play it on there, the screen completely flipped out because I was playing it at 1440p, high refresh rates, and it thought, "Hey, you're back on your PC, right? These are the things we're going to give you." So absolutely, I think the developers have to, especially when it comes to PC, need to understand that we're living now in a world where PC gamers are gaming on multiple devices. And they need to they need to keep that in mind. And I agree with you 100%. It's again, you're complaining about something that it's kind of like the minority, but it's important. It just needs to work, and that's the problem here. When stuff just doesn't work, that's the problem.
The best part about it is with folks like you joining this space more and more, we're no longer the minority, right? We expect it to work wherever we are. You happen to pick up the Ally, you happen to pick up this device, you happen to have a big PC. It needs to check for, hey, I'm on this device now.
Yeah.
Where was it scaled before? It was scaled there. Oh, I'm on that other device now. Where was it scaled for? It was scaled there. They can do it. And shout out to the man Pixel Bit I was saying Pixel. Fuzzy Belvedere in here. He says Undisputed, great boxing game, used to do that. They fixed it after a few forums.
I agree. I agree with Mr. Joanna Dark. Put up his comment there, the one right before that right there. I do see a lot of games that do that, and when the game allows you, like it brings up that little menu that you can kind of mess with the settings there. I think that all games should do that because it kind of, that's a way to kind of bypass what it is that you're referring to, Kay.
So,
and you could set it to, hey, ask me every time, or don't ask me because I'm gonna play on this same PC every single time.
So while I agree with you that is a cool feature to have,
that's a band-aid.
Feel like, I feel like it's a bit of a band-aid, right? And this thing also kind of presents a different other problem that sometimes happens. So the best thing about having settings that are in game is when you make the change, you see it respond right away to your frame rate or whatever, right? And what tends to happen is, if you have games that leverage only settings outside the game, you can make that change and then you won't notice what the change did until it's too late when you're already in game, right?
Yeah.
So I do get you. And I feel like it's good to have that. So in case you need to change it, you can change it. But shout out to the man Pixel Bit G, developer extraordinaire in here himself. Please correct me if I'm wrong. It doesn't take too much work to profile and check for what hardware you're running on currently to then adapt to that, right? It doesn't take too much work to go, oh, I see you're now running on a 7-inch device that has this kind of a scale, that has this type of RAM. I will adapt accordingly versus you were running on that other device. Don't even do it automatically. Once I've said it, remember it for next time, right?
Yeah.
But these are the growing pains that we're going to have to, talk about as a community and let developers know, and eventually we'll start getting more of those fixes in place. But currently, to your point, right, folks who are in the console space, who take certain things for granted, come to the PC space, and it's like pop-ups and launchers and, hey, do you want to allow?
All I'm saying.
Do you want to allow for private network access in the middle of your game out of nowhere? Like, what are you talking about? Leave me alone. I'm trying to play my game.
Happened to me. That happened to me today during Halo Infinite. I was trying to play Halo Infinite, a multiplayer match during my lunchtime, and I got hit up with that little private network thing. I'm like, haven't I already answered this like 10 times before? So that's just one of those things. And okay, let me circle real fast for us to end our discussion on the Starfield thing, because I do want to pick your brain about one thing here.
Sure.
Even with this exclusive AMD deal, are we confident that this game is going to run well across the board, even on NVIDIA cards here? Or if you kind of had to, I'm kind of asking you to kind of look into a crystal ball here, but do you think that across the board they've had enough time to polish everywhere where they're releasing?
I mean, honestly, have they had enough time to polish everywhere? Hell no. But for us PC folks in the house, the plus side, what makes us feel good is when they first started talking about this thing, the specs were Star Citizen-esque in their loftiness, right? And now you've seen the minimum spec, you've seen the recommended spec. The only thing that makes it even remotely unusual is the fact that it requires an SSD, and even that will be put to the test. We shall see, right? It's kind of mid-range in its spec performance, right? So with that, I will say I'll shoot my shot right now and say you may do some tinkering here and there, but you're getting mid 40s ROG Ally Steam Deck, maybe 30, low 30 if you're lucky, hits solid 30. I would see it do solid 30, right? Whereas ROG Ally may be low mid 40s, things like that. I suspect that they don't say that, hey, we're partnering with AMD and FSR and all that for nothing, right? They are targeting those low spec devices because they've seen that there's excitement in that low spec environment, right? And as such, you're going to see some good performance therein. And the good thing about that, right? The plus side about that is when low specs work well, high specs is just cake. You can brute force anything, right? Gotcha. That's why you always hear me talk about make it work well on the Series S. Because if it works on the Series S, X is more than capable because S has everything X has plus more, right? So if you profile and make sure that it's very performant on low spec hardware, high specs will have no issues because they just got a lot more than low specs do. So I think by all accounts, it sounds very promising, right? What's going on out in them streets right now? Everybody's so excited about it, and by and large, there are shady haters about. If there were any performance issues, there'd be hay all over them streets right now. Last thing I heard was that the menu wasn't pretty. Ha!
What do you mean? What do you mean,
start
Kay?
menu. Stop
What's
it.
What
Right?
do you mean, Kay?
The start menu on Starfield wasn't pretty.
Is the start menu not up to par? Is it not what you were expecting?
See, I think from now on that voice should be the vocal representation of all of the haters on them streets that come out of the woodwork.
So okay, let's talk about what makes a special start screen on our next episode.
Oh God!
Oh my God, dude, are you kidding me? Like, really? Start
Hilarious.
Screens now? That's where we're going with this thing? Start screen?
Hilarious. Although I see you in the chat there, Fuzzy Belvedere. For my car guys in the house, I hear you always judge how great a car is or how well thought out a manufacturer took time to make that car shine based on its cup holders. So if that's the case,
this is definitely the cup holder conversation.
This is a cup holder conversation, isn't it?
In the gaming community.
Look at the menu. If the menus aren't good, there's no way the engine and the automatic freaking generation of foliage in the world will perform well. Look at the menu. Get out of here.
Dude, I mean, when you have nothing literally to nitpick at, you'll pick, I guess, you'll pick anything, but right? You'll find something, but you're really stretching like Mr. Fantastic style. Okay, it's been another great episode of the Gamers Playground. We've gone over an hour and a half, which is, I think this is officially probably our longest episode. The last one we went up there too, so I'm not sure it's between this one and the last one. I do have to be, guys, tonight. If you want to switch right over to Newcomb's podcast, I'm going to be on there. Probably have a great time. That Noof likes to bring that fire. I'm going to have some Latino heat in there, conversations as well. Kay, let us know what you're going to be up to for the rest of the week, what you'll be playing, what other podcasts you'll be appearing on, and let the good folks know, man, where they can find you.
So right after this show, where you will find me is sitting in my office or maybe in my living room with ROG Ally in hand, headphones on. I have half of the screen, I am playing Bomb Rush Cyberpunk, and the other half of the screen, I am hearing Mr. John Wolf and Mr. Nuke Nukem go completely crazy, as Nuke tends to at a certain hour of the day. I'm looking forward to that. Otherwise, you'll find me Wednesday with the PTG brothers talking games as we do. Always have a great time there. We have great panel members, new and old, jumping in. Catch us on Wednesdays on Boomstick's channel. And then, of course, on Saturdays, right back here on this channel for the Gaming Circle podcast. As you've noticed, Mr. John Wolf, we have been doing kind of an international flavor, and that's not stopping. I will tell you that next week will be the return of Everborn Vacation. Hashtag Everborn Shameless. If you're out on them Twitter streets, you know what I'm talking about. But very soon we will have some more international guests working on that in the background. Folks with different opinions, different, they're from different parts of the world that may not necessarily see things the way we see them and talk about them the way we talk about them. So I always think that makes for great conversation. So thank you guys so much. And Mr. John Wolf, how about you, sir? Where can fine folks keep up with all of your Latino heat slander, sir?
Of course, Twitter/X. Those streets are always spicy on those takes, and as well, guys, Steam, Epic Games Launcher, I guess, if you want to hit me up there. EA, the EA web launcher thing too. John Wolf everywhere, guys. Okay, John Wolf, just like it's spelled there. Wherever you guys want a game, I've been doing a lot of Call of Duty. I'm hooked on it. Super excited. That Modern Warfare 3 trailer got me hyped for the next iteration of Call of Duty. Guys, honestly, Red Dead is special on Xenia. I recommend that you guys, if you guys want to revisit that game, or you've never played it, never beat it, revisit it on Xenia. You're gonna have such a great time, and the game runs so smooth. They've done wonders with that, emulating that game. And yeah, guys, just look forward to the next week's episode. We're gonna have more topics to talk about, to cover on this PC space. Hit me up. Like I said, let's give New some love and some views on his channel. And until next week, guys, thank you so much, everybody in the chat, for interacting with us. We really appreciate you guys turning up. I know that early on, Kay, about half an hour prior to our show, we had a couple of people in here, and I mean, just thank you guys. I honestly, Punty and 4GQTV, you guys were in here about half an hour early while I was in the green room setting up. Thank you guys, and thank you everybody who interacted. Have a great week, guys. Enjoy your gaming. Starfield is almost here, and have fun, guys. That's what gaming's all about. Let's have fun.
Peace.